Today's Daf is Daf Nazir Daf. So we are at Daf Amud Aleph, the third line from the top, the third word on the line where it says Yachil. So we're in the middle of this brisa. It's a long brisa, and we had the brisa bought at least 3 limudim. We learn out from a word karbanai, which tells you different halachas of a son bringing a carbon that the father was mafresh when he was alive, and then the father died. So the Gemara just finished saying that a ben cannot be yotze yidei chayvas his chatos with money that his father was mafresh for chatos for the father himself. So now Zok the Gemara, Yachol, now the Bryce is going to take it a step further. So Yachol Yetzav Moshe Hifresh Afilu Ben Akal Akal Ben Chamura. You might think that the son cannot be Yotze Yidei Chayvas Chatos with money that the father was mafresh, and even if the father and son both had the same level of error, either Kala or Chamura, and Kolshkein, if one had a Chamar Avera, one had a Kul Avera, then for sure you can't. Aval Yotze B'Karban Shefesh La'atzmai, but you might think that the son for himself, maybe he could be, if he was mafresh on one Avera, maybe he could use it for a different Avera, and even if they're not equal in the Chaymer of the Avera, for instance, Min Akala Chamura, Min Chamura Akala, Talmud Loimar, the Pasuk says in Vayikra Perak Dal Pasuk Chav Ches, Vehevi Karbanoi Siras Izim Timimo Nekeva Al Chatosoy Asher Chata. So in the word Karbanoi and Al Chatosoy, you learn out that he Achi Yehi Karbanoi L'Shem Chete, that his hafrashas carbon has to be l'shein the chet that he did. So if and once he's mafresh for that specific chet, he can't be mafresh for another chet, even for himself, from one chet on another chet. Zok the Brayse weiter. Yachol yektzeh behevish hifresh la'atzmai. I might think that say that he can't be yotze on behemoth that is mafresh himself on one chet, even akala, min chamura, afim akala, chamura, akala, and for sure if both averos are not equal in their chaymer, why shekain him hifresh behema? Because we find that we already find in the brisa that if one's mafresh a behema for eating chela, the hevi al adam, and he brings it for a shaygav achilas dam, or he's mafresh al adam the hevi al chela and brings it for the avir of eating chela, even though they're both avirs kalos, you still see you're not yotze. Why? Shari lemal, because you did not do a ma'isa meila, because since the behemoth kedusha has a kedusha of kedusha sakov, which is kedusha chamura, and when you put it from one carbon onto another carbon, it's not chal b'chlal, and therefore there's no meila. The loy keeper, there's no kapara. However, Zok the Gemara, maybe that's only from that whole svara is only shaykh by behema. But if he took a sum of money and he put it towards one chet, min akal, min chamura, min chamura, min chamura, shekenim hifresh la'atzmai mois, min achelev. And Zok the Gemara, maybe the halacha by money is you could even do it from chamura and kala chamura. Why? Shekain, because you already finds before in the brayse that I'm hifresh la'atzmai mois, if he sets aside money for himself for a chatas, which is chayiv min achelev, the hevi, and he uses that money to bring al adam, shoygig for a chatas al adam, or is mafresh al adam, and he brings it for shoygig chatas of chelev. The halacha is yatzi techavase. Why? Shaharei mal, because it's over an isma'ila. Why is it over an isma'ila? Because money is not a problem to change it for something else. It could be over an me'ila because mois is kedushas and kala. It doesn't have a kedushas agof, and it goes out l'chulin. So that's why it passes me'ila. When you use it for a different behemoth, it goes out l'chulin. the keeper, and therefore you get a kapara if he's makar of that behema that he bought, and you change it and used it for the different behema that he used it with at the end. So we find clearly there's a difference between mois and behema, that if you're makar of b'shayig a behema for a different chait, you find it's not chal b'chlal, it's no me'ilah, because that's kedushas guf. But the umazois, money that you kind of b'shayig a behema for a different chait, you can be makar of it for that chait. So you learn out, alechatchila you can mishana mois from chait l'chait. That's what you see. Zok the Raisa Talmud Loimar, the Chibur Olav HaKohen Al Chatosai Ashachata. From that we learn out Al Chatosai that Ein Yotzei Dei Chavasai Achi Karbona L'Shem Chetoi. Karbona has to be L'Shem Chetoi, and you learn out that even money of a chatos you cannot use it for a carbon of a chait, a different chait for a chatos on a different avera. So that is this whole long brisa. So now, Zok the Gemara, Ketani Mias. So now the Gemara is going to ask back on Rav Nachman that said that a behema bailas mum and ma'is both have a din of ma'is stumim, and you say it's yiplun and dava. And bailas mum is including that. So Zok the Gemara now, Ketani Mias behema. It's mevurah in the Brisa that the ben cannot bring animal that his father, the Nazir, was mafresh for his own karbanis, and only by money he could do that. So Gemara, my love, doesn't the Brisa mean afilu bailas mum? It's telling you even bailas mum, the son cannot bring for his own karbanis once the father is mafresh it. And l'chor you see from this, because it has a din like mefureshes and not like stuma, and it's not b'chlal halacha mashim sinai that the son could bring more stuma with the father is mafresh. And it's mistavra azoi that it's not b'chlal halacha mashim sinai that more stuma go on the dava. Rather, as a din that's mefureshes, and it's a lechzul misa, and it's shvar of Nachman. It says the behema balas mum has a din like stuma and it's a lechzul on the dava. So everything moral loy, the Brisa does not mean that the son cannot bring the behemoth his father's mafresh by l'smum. The Brisa rather means a behemoth tamima, and that taka has a din. Even Menachem Masma has a din like mefareshas, because it's not b'chlal halacha mashum Sinai. So the Gemara is coming out that avada a by l'smum has a din like stuma, and the tamima is a din like mefureshes, and that would not be included in that halacha mashum Sinai we spoke about from Daf Lamed, that the ben is megaleach al naziris aviv, and who adin the Brisa which Shtimur Nachman and say that dafka bailas mum would be included in the din of Yiplan Udav. Okay. Correcting Gemara, Aval bailas mum mai. What's going to be bailas mum? Lafi this. What's going to be the din with bailas mum? Kastuma dami. It's going to have a din like stuma. So correcting Gemara, Mari the Ketani. Why does the Brisa need to say the din of ben galechal is of legabai moish hifresh aviv? Like money the father's mafresh. Listen, you could have said it legabai bailas mum. Let it say it taka. If taka is true that it's halacha, let it say it legabai bailas mum, that the father left over a bailas mum that the son could bring him for zaziras, because that's also included in halacha mashum Sinai. And Timor hochanami, you're right. The price of taka could have said it. It's taka included. To lamai chazia. What's a bahima bailas mum worth? What could it be used for? It's only really can't be used for akrava, so it's only the dmei. Can only be used for its money to buy a carbon. Like tomorrow, dmei hainamois. Its value for whatever it is for a carbon, das heist mois. So that was taka included in the Tana's words of Izay. Zok the Mishnah weiter. New Mishnah here. The Mishnah is going to discuss until when does the Baal have a right to be made for his wife's Naziris. Zok the Mishnah. Nizrak aleh echad min adamim. If a lady she was a Nazira and she finished her Naziris b'tahira, she brought her all karbanas, and then one of the dam from one of the karbanas was spritzed. Halacha is ein yachal hefer. Now the Baal can no longer be made for his wife's darm. Why? Because al yidei the zrikas dam she became mutter in shtiyas yayin and tam lamesim. So the halacha is, even if she still did not do taglachas, she's mutter and shniyas yayin d'mitam l'mesim. Rabbi Akiva says, afilu nishchata ala achas kol behemis en yachal hefer. Even if the dam was not nizrak and only one of the karbanos got geschachten, the Baal cannot be made for why? Als hefer, because it's a hefsef kachim, because it's made for the ziris, then the carbon will be batal. That's Rabbi Akiva's shita. Now Zok the Mishnah, Medavar Mamurim, that a wife cannot be made from Naziris Ishtoi after Zrika, but Taglachas Atahira. When she finishes a Naziris B'Tahira, she brings the karbanas for the completion of her Naziris. But if she becomes Tomei in middle her Naziris, and she's bringing karbanas of a Nazir Tomei, and after she becomes Tar, she counts again a fresh new Naziris. The halacha is Yafer, the Baal can be made for, even though the Zrika is dumb. Why should Yachal Loimer Yaf should be Ishim Nevelos? The Baal has a right to say that he does not want his wife to be a Menuvelas, because even though now in this case she's going to become Tahar once she goes through the process, but Lamaisa she'll still be a Menuvelas because she's still going to be in Zira. So the Azayzak the Mishnah. Rameir argues on the whole din, and he says, Rameir Omer, Af b'taglachas tahira yofer. Says, you know what? Even by taglachas of tahira, the Baal can be made for, even if she finishes Ziris tahira and the makar of all the karbanas, and even though the Torah was already matar all Yisur and Nazir, so there's no ini nefesh because she's can be mitam l'mesim. And Agav, the Rosh said before that the inu nefesh of her not being able to be mitamel mesim is because if she doesn't go and be mitamel mesim and doesn't take care of mesim, so she's being gurian, and then when she dies, people won't be masped her and won't bury her. Okay, as a side note. But Rameir says after glachas tahara you could be mefer, even though there's no either nefesh. Why should yachalomer should be isha megalachas? Because he could say, I don't want my wife to do taglachas because it's not a nice thing for a woman. So that's why he could be made for the Naziris. And that storm should be no lebeinah. That's something that's between him and his wife. Therefore, he could be made for it. So that's Shita's Rameir. He argues on the whole Mishnah. Zok the Gemara. Masnisa, in the Mishnah it says that as soon as Zrikas Dam, the Baal cannot be made for anymore. Even though she did not do Taglachas, the Baal can be made for. Why? Because she's already mutter and she is Yain and Dam L'Mesim. So tomorrow, Masnisa in the Mishnah is not like Shitz Rebbe Lezer. The year Rebbe Lezer, Ha'omar, he says later on Daf Mevom V'Alf, that Taglachas Ma'akeves, that doing for Nazir to do Taglachas is a Ma'akev and she is Yain. So as long as she does not do Taglachas, she's still us and she is Yain. The Kavan de Loigilcha, and since the lady in this case in our mission did not do Taglachas yet, even though there was Rigastam, Lechora Asir B'Cham, she's still also in Yain, became this Lanivel. And since there's Ina Nefesh until she's Galech because she can't drink wine, then Lechora the Allah would be Lord Belezer and Matzi Mefa. So apparently, Zok the Gemara, Mishnah's not going with Shittas Rebbe Lezer. Zok the Gemara, Baha Pligi, and the Machloikis in the Mishnah between Tanakama and Rabbi Akiva. The Tanakama says he can't be made for once as Zrikas Dam. Rabbi Akiva argued and said, even if he just did Shchita, even before Zrika, he can't be made for because it's causing the carbon to be puzzle. So Zakni Gemara Baha Pliger Rabbi Akiva Rabbanan. Tanadidan, Tanakama holds, Tanakama Savar came into Izdirk Allah Dam, since they spritz Dam for her from one of the karbanas. La Alta Shari B'Chamer, right away she comes from terrace to drink wine, v'hales la nivel, and there's no more nivels, no in nefesh, and therefore the Baal can't be made for anymore. That's Shittas Tanakam. Rabbi Akiva Savar Zok the Gemara. Rabbi Akiva holds afilu shtechitas behema, even if they just shechted one behema on her behalf for her naziris, einach for the Baal cannot drink. The Baal cannot be made for, even though she still has the issur to drink wine. Why? Mishum hefsid kachim. Because if he's made for now, then he can mafsid the carbon that he shechted, and you won't be able to be makar of it, and we are concerned about the hefsid of kachim. Zakti Gemara, Masakif law, Reb Zera asked the kasha on this. Why is there? What's Pshat on Reb Akiva? Reb Akiva says that there's a hefsid kachim l'chayra lizrek daman shaloi l'shman. Why don't you spritz the blood of the karbanos shaloi l'shman? Shaloi l'shem carbon nazir. Spritz it for something else. And Tosis Agav speaks out that you don't have to say clearly you're doing the zrika shaloi l'shma, but just do the zrika stam and mela will be shaloi l'shma. Zakti Gemara ve'lizrek dam shaloi l'shma v'yatir basa ba'achila. And I day this we matter the basa ba'achila. Miloi Tani didn't learn in the brayso kifsei atzeres. If you bring the two kvasim of shlomim that are yemakriv on the yontif of Shavuos that come with the shnei alechem, you need to have tenufa with the lechem. So it says that kivshay atzeres shachna shaloi l'shma, that if you shechted a bizmanon shaloi l'shma rather for l'shem a different carbon, or if you shechted l'shma rather just shachna from zmanam, but you did not shecht it in time, you did it before yontif, or la'achar zman you did it after yontif. The halacha is hadam yizarek, the dam should get spritz on his back, basar yachol, and the basar of the carbon, the meat, gets eaten. Shabbos, and if it was Shabbos, lo yizroik, you should not spritz the blood, because it's considered tikkun that you're being matter carbon for aktar and vachila, and it's also derabada. Ve'im zarak, and if Shabbos passed and then you did the zrika hortza, then the zrika helps in order to be matter the carbon for aktara lahakti ermurim la'erev on Motzei Shabbos. It helps to be matter the ermurim carbon Motzei Shabbos. So l'chayr, what do you see from this price? The Zakti Gemara, from this price, so you see that you can spritz down for karbanos shaloi l'shman, and it helps. It's matter the carbon. So l'chayra also by isha that a baal is made for a naziris after the carbon is nishchat. Why is Rabbi Akiva tining that he can't be made for because he's being mafsek kachim? L'chayra you can spritz the blood shaloi l'shman and be matter basa achila. So there's no head to kachim. There's no hefset kachim. What's Pshat on Rabbi Akiva? So the Gemara Amri the Bnei Yeshiva said, Eid the shachat, if it's talking about a case where he shechted it, oila ishlamim, if you shechted her carbon oila ishlamim of the nazira, hachinami, then you could take the spritz. You could take a spritz of bashal ishman. Days that you be matter the carbon akrava for oila that it should be kula kalo or fachila bashlamim. And the taka won't be a hefset kachim. The baal can be made for naziris. And over here it's talking about Zat Gemara going sheshachat chatas bereisha. It's talking about that they shechted the chatas, the carbon chatas of the nazira first, and that's why there's a hefset kachim, because you can't spritz the dam chatas shaloi shma, because chata that the halacha is that a chatas that it gets done shaloi shma is possible, and you can't even bring it from the dava because the chatas is zaini bab in the dava. So you don't even have that option. So according to this pshat, the Rebbe Kiva in the Mishnah is talking about ba'oifin that you shechted the chatas first. You have to say also that it's talking about that you shechted the chatas first, and still the Tanakama would hold that as soon as you have a zrika from even the chatas, she's mutter in yain. As soon as she does giluach, and there's no in nefesh, and therefore the baal cannot be made for Tanan, like we learned in the Mishnah later on, Daf Yomi in Megillah al achas mishlashton, if a nazir is megaleach on one of the three karbanos yatza, and it's before in this Mishnah that even if the giluach was on the carbon chatas, the nazir is mutter in yain, and therefore the baal can't be made for naziris after zrikas dam, because there's no more in nefesh. That would be pshat Tanakam. Zakti Gemara weiter. The Mishnah says, "Bamed davar mamurim." The Mishnah said, when you say that after the Zrikas Hadam, the Baal can be made for, the Glachas Tahira, the Glachas Tummy you could be made for, because the Baal can say, EF should be Shum Navalis, or Meir argues on the whole halacha of the Mishnah. He says, I feel with the Glachas Tahira, you could be made for, because the husband could say, EF should be Shum Galachas. Zakti Gemara, what's Pshat in this Machlekes? Gemara, but Tanakama Amalach, and Tanakama is going to answer to that of Rameir's Taina that says, that the husband could say, yeah, the mayor says the husband could say, yes, she bisham galachas. Zok the Gemara, efsher b'pein achris. Tanakama holds it's not an evil for a woman to shave off her hair because she could wear a sheitel, and the tegalachas would not be nicker. And therefore, even with that's why with tegalachas of the higher the baal can't be made for. A mayor saver, mayor holds. Peirin acher is aidid zuama loy nichale. Because there is zuama that goes from the guf of the isha, so it's maguna in the husband's eyes, and therefore, I guess because it makes her sweat or whatever, and therefore he could be made for to hold that back, that ganai that comes from paying achros. So that's pshat shitas Rameir. Zok the Gemara weiter. Ha'ish maders benoi ben Nazir. A father could be mader his son, a katan, to become a naziris. He could bring a naziris upon his son, and that could be in one of two ways. He could say Yehei b'ni Nazir, or he could say, tell his son, be Mekabel Naziris. But a mother cannot be mother her son, a kata, to become a Nazir. Zak the Mishnah weiter, Ketzad. Gilach, how do you have, the Mishnah is going to explain now, how do you have that the Naziris of the kata and son becomes batal? Gilach, if the son cuts off his hair, or if his relatives cut off his hair, so they're megala that they don't want the naziris, or the son is megala. Micha, if the son makes a malchai, says I don't want it, michu kroivav, or his relatives say they don't want the naziris. In all these instances, the naziris is batal. Haisa loy behema mufreshes. If the father had a carbon that was a behema that was set aside for a carbon for naziris, for a son, and the naziris was in this battle, his son's naziris in this battle, Aidei Geluach or Macha. The halacha is Hachatas Tamas, the Chatas goes to die, Va'oila Tikra Va'oila, goes as Oil Sedavo, Shlam Yikra Shlamim, and Shlam could go Toiras Shalmin Adava. And the halacha is when Chol Yem Echad, he gets eaten for one day and one night, like it did in the Shalmin Nazir, not like it did in the regular Shlamim. Ve'enan Tu'unan Lechem, however, it does not need Lechem like a regular Shalmin Nazir. If he was mafresh, the father's mafresh money for kabbanas and naziris, and he did not say for which kabbanas this money should be for, he didn't specify. Yiplul and dava, the whole money goes on the dava, for oilas and dava. But mois mufurashim, if he specified, he said what money he wants for which kabbanas, for chatas, oila, and shlamim, then the halacha is the mei chatas yelchul yam melach gets lost in yam melach after we get rid of it, kenamano. And loy nenin v'loy moyelin. There's no isar anad or abonon, and there's no chi of carbon meila if he's over and he has enough for the money. Why? Because in Parashat Milah it says vayikra parakei pasuk tezvav kache Hashem, and this chatas that's going to the Yam Melech is not kache Hashem, so therefore there's no chi meila. The mei oila, the money of the oila yivu oila, you have to bring a carbon oilas and dava moyelin behen. And you could be moiled because I'm the carbon, so it's like a regular carbon that there is me'ilah. The demei shlamim zak the Mishnah yaviu shlamim. You could bring a shalom and daven. Nechol yem echad. The einin tunan lechem does not need lechem that a nazir normally brings a shlamim, because over here it's not like we had before. It says in the pasuk by naziris of nasan al kapi nazir, and in this case it's not a nazir anymore because it was batal.